Coming to you live from Petals in the Pines in Canterbury, New Hampshire. Bear with us as we do a little life cycle demonstration as we wait for viewers to show up. That was an egg. And here come caterpillars. Be sure to comment where you're coming from. And here comes the chrysalis. One of them. There's the second one. Welcome, viewers. Be sure to comment where you're watching from. And here comes the butterfly.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Monarch Festival, live from Canterbury, New Hampshire. Here we are. I hope you enjoyed that dance. We worked so hard on the choreography. Gosh, I'm going to get out my cue cards. We want to welcome you guys to our 8th annual Monarch Festival, but first virtually. We had to do this because of COVID-19. We didn't want to have the big crowds that we're used to having for the Monarch Festival here. So this was an option we came up with. A lot of people have put a lot of work into today's event, and we're here to celebrate the Monarchs yet again. Thank you for joining us. As Jesse has mentioned, he's my cameraman, the man behind the lens. If you're joining us, make a comment, tell us where you're watching from. If you have any questions throughout the day, please feel free to type them in. You know, we've been open here this year since the beginning of June, but like I said, we had to get rid of all our big crowd events. So we've had pick your own flowers, we've been selling bouquets, people have been coming and doing the tail trails and walking our trails and walking through the gardens, and we will be open through the end of October, so all that will continue. The flowers will continue through our first frost, whenever that may come. So our schedule for today is we'll be coming back to you live at 10:30, at 1, and at 3. And it's going to be like the Academy Awards, because every time you come back, I will be wearing a new outfit. And I have all these different Monarch shirts. And this one is from Monarch Watch, Bring Back the Monarchs. You can see Jesse's panning there and showing the back of the shirt. And I've collected quite a few shirts over the years, so I'm going to bring that back to you every time we join you live. I'll have a new t-shirt on. And this one, if you want to get one, they have them at Monarch Watch. History of the Monarch Festival, like I said, we've been doing this for 8 years now. We've drawn anywhere from 100 to 300 people at this event when people have come here, and it's been very, very crowded. The ironic thing is, the first year that we did the Monarch Festival, there were no monarchs flying around. We had gone from a year where there had been quite a few, and all of a sudden there was a huge drop. And it felt like false advertising, I have to tell you, when we did this event and people came, and we had no monarchs to show them, but it really drew attention to the urgency that something's wrong with the monarchs. So we've had a lower year this year. We do have some monarchs this year, some butterflies that have been flying through. They've been laying eggs on our milkweed, and we have some caterpillars. All but one have turned into a chrysalis. So let's go inside and we're gonna look and see what we have. So in this tent here, we have 9 beautiful chrysalis, all up top. And in this tent over here, we have 5 chrysalis and 1 quiet little caterpillar. And I don't know if Jesse can zoom in on that caterpillar right there. And it's taken a little rest, but this is its milkweed that it has to eat. And I'm going to come around the other side here. And we're going to talk about, in this session, why monarchs, what's the big deal about monarchs. I'm going to teach you how to identify a monarch, both the butterfly and the caterpillar. And I will tell you about a featured author that we have, some featured products, and at the end there's going to be an activity for kids to do in between sessions, so you want to stay tuned for that. So, why monarchs? What is the big deal about monarchs? Over the years, for anyone who is an adult, you've been accustomed to seeing them in the summer. Kind of like in May, we see the black flies, right? Then in June, the mosquitoes show up, and we see the tiger swallowtail butterflies, the big yellow ones. And then July and August, the monarchs show up. But suddenly, several years ago, people started to say, where are the monarchs? What have happened to them? Well, what we consider them is an indicator species. It indicates something's wrong. Something has gone wrong. We should be seeing them, and we're not. And so we'll tell you about what has happened with them. First of all, the major thing has been habitat loss in a couple different ways. One is that their overwintering area in Mexico, the Oyamel forest, has had years of illegal logging there, and that is the only place those monarchs go to winter over. And if those trees and forests are deforested and taken away, they have no place to go. The other major loss has happened in the United States, which is the milkweed, because it's the only plant that a monarch butterfly will lay her eggs on. And we had a rapid loss of milkweed in the central part of the country, where a lot of our farms grow grains, and a lot of the milkweed was decimated through weeding practices there, and they didn't have a place to lay their eggs. We also have had a lot of development, and anytime you have a development, whether it's a house, stores, roads, you lose habitat. The milkweed and other valuable plants can get dug up. We've had major changes in weather patterns. We've had droughts, we've had floods. We'll talk later more about how that impacts the monarch. We've also had, in our own personal yards, we've had practices, maybe not thinking that they're harming the butterflies and the insects, but they are. So we'll talk more about that later. The other thing is when I say to people, hey, grow milkweed, it'll attract monarchs. They go, milkweed? It's a weed? Why would I want to grow a weed? Well, quite honestly, the common milkweed is kind of weedy looking, but I'm going to talk to you in the next section about an alternative, a different milkweed that is really nice in the garden and attracts the monarchs. And also there's natural predators. There are lots of other insects, birds that will eat the monarch caterpillars. And when a monarch butterfly, every 100 eggs that a monarch butterfly lays, about 5% of them will actually make it to adulthood. So many of them get lost along the way. And that's something that just naturally happens. So let's talk about the population of the monarchs. And Jesse, if I could have you come over here. And if you can zoom in on the laptop chart here, this is from Monarch Watch. And the significance of these orange bars is the population measured in Mexico in the winter by hectare. So 1 hectare equals 2.5 acres in the United States. And they started measuring back in 94 and 95. And you can see that they had like 7 hectares, 12. They had a ginormous amount in this year in 96, 97, 18 hectares. That represented about 1 billion, that's billion with a B, butterflies, okay? Then you see this huge drop. And then you get down here and you can see how little it got back in 2012, 2013, 14. This was the first year that we had a monarch festival, and we had this huge decrease in population. And as I said, we had very few monarchs that year. We've had a couple good increases. We were at 6 hectares 2 years ago, and this past winter it dropped quite a bit again to 2.8 hectares. So the goal of the researchers, they would like to see an average of 6 hectares overwintering monarch butterflies, because the average here, from here to here, was about 5.5 hectares. The average has dropped to about 3.5 hectares in the last 10 to 15 years. So that's what they are shooting for. They realize that this over here, the 18 hectares, was like just like a really great year. But we probably won't ever see that again. So this last year, I want to talk about, a lot of people say, oh, you know, we had 6 hectares last year, so we should have a really good year this year. Well, everything can change from year to year. And as I mentioned, the weather, that can be a real problem. We had a 53% decrease in overwintering monarchs. What's the matter? There we go. Okay. Of overwintering monarchs last year, and the 2 big reasons was because last summer it was incredibly warm into the fall, and when the weather's warm, the butterflies are like, they're hanging out, they're not going anywhere, and suddenly it got cold late. And when the temperatures start to drop, that's when the butterflies are like, oh, I think I need to head south, but by then it was too late. So a lot of the butterflies in the north did not head south. Also, when they did head south, they got to Texas, and there was a drought going on. And what the butterflies are looking for, I think he's asking you to turn the light on, please. Sorry, a little technical issue here. So when they got to Texas, they're looking for nectar. They're looking for flowers that are still blooming so they can drink, so they can fuel up for their flight. And there was a big drought going on in Texas and probably partly into Mexico. So a lot of the migrating monarchs did not make it to Mexico. The other thing is last year was a really good year here in the Northeast. And the Northeast is like, wow, we've got lots of monarchs. It was really a good year. So we're thinking, oh, they'll have a great winter. Well, the problem is the butterflies from the Northeast, not as many make it south. They have a longer flight. The ones that are in the Midwest, they go zoop, straight south. The ones up in New England have to go all the way down across the United States. They have a longer flight, so they don't make it as well. If you want to learn more about the population, if you go to the Monarch Watch on our website, on the Monarch Festival page, I have lots of links I'm going to be referring you to. But if you go to monarchwatch.org and click on the blog, Chip Taylor writes all about the population. It goes in very big detail. So let's talk about identifying the monarch butterfly. Jesse, if you want to zoom in on this little, this is one that was preserved, and you get a good look at the monarch butterfly. They're about 4 to 4.5 inches in width at the widest part. If you see these 2 little black dots on the bottom wings, that indicates that it's a male. If they don't have those black dots, it's a female. So there are lots of butterflies that that look like the monarch, and let's take a look at them. First of all, we have the viceroy. So Jesse, if you could zoom in on this. And this butterfly is a little bit smaller, probably 3 to 3.5 inches, but see that line right there? That's the giveaway. That line, which I think looks like a V, V is for viceroy. And it looks so much like the monarch, and it's called a mimic because birds learn to stay away from the monarch butterfly. And by looking like a butterfly that you should stay away from, it helps preserve the viceroy. This is the fritillary. And the fritillary is also orange and black, but very speckled. There are several different types. There's the great spangled fritillary and the meadow fritillary. And they are out flying right now, so you may see them flying about in your gardens. This is the tiger swallowtail. This is the one that we see a lot in June. And believe it or not, I have had people who have mistaken this butterfly for the monarch. And in June, they'll say, oh, I just saw a monarch. It was beautiful and yellow. And I said, well, if it was yellow, it was a tiger swallowtail. And then the last one is the black swallowtail. Now, it's not so much the butterfly that people get confused about. It's the caterpillar. So let me move to these pictures. And this is the caterpillar when it's very little on, this looks like a dill plant, okay? And I'm gonna flip through. This is what the caterpillar looks like. And even last night, I was on Facebook and somebody was on a monarch page and they had this caterpillar on a piece of milkweed and they were saying, what's the problem? I have this caterpillar and it's not eating the milkweed. And it's because it was the wrong caterpillar and they mistook this. So this one is green, black, and yellow. It kind of has yellow dots, whereas the monarch caterpillar is black, yellow, and white stripes. This is what its chrysalis looks like. And then, of course, the butterfly. Okay? If you want to look over here, there's a picture here. If you can show Jesse both of these. This is the monarch butterfly caterpillar, and this is the black swallowtail caterpillar. And by putting them side by side, you can see how easily people can mistake them. And here's another picture of our fritillaries up here. So that's a little bit about identification, which is what I wanted to cover during this segment. There's some other announcements that I have as we wrap this up. First of all, we have a book author, Joanne Randall, who wrote a book called The Adventures of Largo and Shelby. And it's about 2 turtles. And you're probably wondering, why would you put a book up about turtles? Well, there is a story behind the story. So I invite you to go to our website, go down to the section that says book authors, and click on her book and watch the video. She'll read it to you, hold the pages up to the screen, and you need to look really carefully to see the story behind the story. It's a very great story, and the moral of the story is there's a reason why we are made the way we are. In the next hour, if you watch that story and you come back in the next hour, if you have comments or questions for her, she will be in the chat. So you can type your questions in or comments and hear back from her. I also want to mention, we've had in the past 2 awesome vendors who have been here for our Monarch Festival for the last several years. And one is Hazel Moon Botanicals from Gilmanton. And I have a few of her products right here that we sell in the farm stand. But I'm going to give a plug for the good old Bug Balm. Now it's sold in a cardboard container, but I have it still in the plastic one. And this is part of my daily routine, especially in the spring when the ticks are out. And I take this balm and I spread it all over my neck, behind my ears, on my arms. And when I go out to work, I use this and it keeps the ticks away. It's a really great product. She has a video on our website. If you look for Hazel Moon Botanicals, and if you watch her video to the end, there's a coupon code so you can buy from her website through Monday with a 20% off coupon code. She also, and there's a link to her website as well, she also has another business, like she's not busy enough. She has a business called Whimsical Roots and H. It's on Etsy. She makes great little children's toys, and she has a Monarch bendy doll. So the link to that is on there as well. Some other website links you might want to check out that have to do with what we just discussed. The first one is monarchwatch.org. As I said, you can go there to find out about the population. The Monarch Joint Venture and Journey North are 2 websites that I think I have posted under activities for kids. And if you go on those and link onto those, you'll find all kinds of cool things about monarchs. And then also, of course, make sure to read Largo. Another product I wanted to tell you about that we have in the farm stand, we have a neighbor and friend, John Polizzi. And Jesse, I'll just have you zoom in on these right here, if you could. He comes around here all the time and takes pictures. And anyone who lives in Canterbury knows his photography because he's posted on our Canterbury Facebook page all the time. And he has created some photos from here. And this boxed set has 10 blank cards in it with 10 different images. And then they are also sold individually. And I want, Jesse, can you zoom in on this card? Look at you can see the pollen on the bumblebee on that card. It is so cool. So anyway, those are available in our farm stand as well. They're $4 individually and $30 for a pack of 10 cards. Between now and the next session, if you have any questions, you can either email me at donna@petalsinthepines.com or put them in the chat. Do we have any questions yet, Jim?
We don't have questions, but we have some comments.
Okay.
We've got, let's see, Sophie Haddock is watching.
That's our daughter.
Oksana has mentioned somebody. Peggy Heath says, hi, dear.
Hi, Peggy. Peggy's a fellow flower grower.
Joanne Randall has commented.
Joanne, author of
says, yay, Largo.
Yay, Largo. It is the best book. It's so good. I love it. All right, great. Thank you. So like I said, if you have any questions, send them in. I also want to mention, too, that we have always just, when people came to the Monarch Festival, we asked for donations for adults. Kids came for free. And this year what we're doing is we've put a donation link on our website to help us continue to do the educational programs that we do here. And we'll be supporting some like-minded organizations that help the monarchs and help the pollinators. You can find that link on our homepage or on the Monarch Festival page. And if the spirit moves you to make a donation, we would surely appreciate it. that would be wonderful if you could do that. All right, so between now and the next session, kids, if you're watching, this is what I want you to do. And even, you know, adults, you guys can do this too. And actually, Jim, can you, oh, it's right here, never mind. Oh, I just realized something I forgot to show. All right, this is what I want the kids to do. I want you to go outside, and if you have milkweed plants in your yard, to look for monarchs. Typically, the caterpillars are underneath the leaf. That's usually where they chew from. And sometimes you can find them easily because they poop a lot, and they leave their poop on the leaves below them. So that's an easy way to find them. If you don't have monarchs, what do you have in your yard? There could be butterflies flying around, passing through. Like I said, the fritillaries are out there right now. So look and see what you can find. Jim found last night, he walked outside, and Jesse, I hope you can get a good shot of this guy because he's stuck on the inside of the tent. And can you see him? I'll just hold this nice and still. He's as big as my thumb or bigger. And we believe it's the caterpillar of the polyphemus moth. It's a very hard word to say. But he found it walking across the driveway. And so I looked it up. This is a really great book if you want to learn to identify caterpillars, the caterpillars of Eastern North America. And you can look it up by the caterpillar. You can look it up by the host plant, the food that they eat. And that's something I failed to mention, is that when we were talking about the black swallowtail, the reason why, you know, that person that posted the picture last night on Facebook that had the black swallowtail and they had put it on milkweed, somebody wrote and said, where did you find this caterpillar? And they said, I found it on wild parsnip. Of course you did, because that's its host plant. See the shape of these flowers? This is Queen Anne's lace. This is a dried dill flower. This is a fresh dill flower. And these are called the umbels. So other plants that are in this family would include carrots, fennel, parsley. Those are the host plants of the black swallowtail. So if you're out in your garden, you've got dill, you've got parsley, and you see a caterpillar, and you think it looks a lot like a monarch, it's actually the black swallowtail caterpillar. So go out and see what you can find. And also, if you don't have a place to look for caterpillars or monarchs in your yard, you can go to the Journey North link on our page and scroll down 6 rows on the left. This is under the children's section, and hit Let's Find Monarchs. And there are pictures there that show you how to find monarchs. All right, coming up at 10:30, we're going to be in our milkweed patch. We're going to learn all about how to plant milkweed seed, because a lot of people have real problems with it, and there's a trick to it. I'm going to teach you the trick. You're going to learn how to grow it, how to transplant it, how to save seeds. We're going to talk about nectar plants, what you need to have to help feed the butterflies during this time of year. And we're going to talk about what happens if you mow less of your lawn. And you're going to see it for real down there. I'll have a new t-shirt on. We'll be back. Any last minute questions or comments?
No.
We're good?
Karen Tortolot just tuned in.
Hi, Karen. From Connecticut. Good, good. I know we've got people tuning in from different parts of the country, so if you're interested in doing things for butterflies, we'll be talking more about the links that you can go onto websites and find the plants that grow in your part of the country. So I'll be talking about what grows well here in New Hampshire in the Northeast, and we'll be, you know, referencing the websites that'll show you what you can grow in your area. So I think that's all for now. Thank you for joining in. We'll see you back at 10:30 in the meadow. Bye-bye.